What's up guys, it's Echo here, Queen of the Loot Goblins, bringing you another Borderlands 3 video. I'm sorry I'm super sick, but I wanted to bring you guys this boss build as soon as possible. Since the level cap got increased to level 53, there's so much more happening and so much more damage to be had. So let me show you guys just a quick view of what this does. And it's just as easy as that. So we're gonna get into lots more boss killing, lots more guns to use, lots more everything. So let's roll that intro and get right into it. Come and get it. Welcome back guys. So I have another great video for you guys today. It's my Amara boss build. It's super amazing, super great, lots of damage. We're going to be going over the skill trees, the gear, the comms, everything like that. I'm going to be going over different bosses and how to kill them, different ways to kill them, and recommended guns that I like to use for certain bosses. So now that you've seen a little preview of what this build can do, let's get right into the skill trees. Alright guys, let's get into the skill trees. I want to apologize in advance. I am losing my voice because I've been sick. But starting with the Fist of Elements tree, or the red tree as I like to call it. Let's go ahead and max out Anima. This is going to give us status effect damage, status effect duration, and action skill status effect damage. Moving on to Tempest, we're going to max that out. That's going to give us an extra 30% elemental damage and 20% shock damage. We're going to max out Steady Hands, which gives us weapon handling and accuracy. Now, this is where things get a little tricky. We need to get down the skill tree to Conflux, but we don't need Illuminated Fist and we don't need Wildfire, but we do need to put 5 points somewhere. So you can put 5 points into Infusion. This is going to be good for things like when you're using kinetic weapons such as the carrier. You might want to try Infusion to convert a portion of your action skill element to your damage output. So maxing this out, we're going to get 40% converted damage. Now, if you're not a fan of Infusion and you just want to get down the tree, go ahead and put your points into Wildfire. For now, we're going to put our points into Infusion. So this is going to get us down to this tree, or excuse me, this line, which is Deep Well. We're going to want to put 1 point into Deep Well. This is going to increase our mag size by 20%. Increasing your mag size is going to help you substantially, especially when you are using guns like the carrier or the Cutsman. You're not going to want to use multiple clips, so anything with mag size on it is going to help. Next, we still need 1 point to get down to our Conflux skill. So we're just going to put a point into Catharsis just to get down there. We're going to put 1 point into Conflux. Now, for those of you who aren't aware how Conflux works, let me break it down for you. The text reads, whenever Amara applies a status effect to an enemy, she randomly gains a chance to electrocute, ignite, or melt that enemy. In layman terms, it basically just means it put a dot on them. So it also works when you apply a status effect on yourself. And when bossing, we use the sellout. So just by damaging ourselves with a sellout, you can put a fire, shock, and corrosive dot on yourself. So since we use the elemental projector, these dots are giving us a 96% damage boost to each fire, shock, and corrosive damage, depending on which we use. So let me just show you. Run that clip back of Gigamind. You see how when we damage ourselves with the sellout, normally it would just give us one dot, which is fire. But in this case, it's also giving us a shock damage dot. If we had kept damaging ourselves with the sellout, we would also get a corrosive dot. And that's what you would do if you needed corrosive damage as well. You would go ahead and damage yourself until you get a corrosive dot on you and then proceeded to kill your boss. Or you could just switch your element from fire to corrosive on your sellout. Either one is up to you. But in this case, we needed fire and shock, and that's what we got. We got that extra 96% damage and totally destroyed Gigamind. Hopefully I've explained complex to you guys well enough. If I haven't, go ahead and comment below and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. But for now, let's move on to our mystical assault tree, also known as our blue tree, as I like to call it. We're going to be maxing out fast hands. This is going to help Amara's reload speed, weapon swap speed, and mode switch speed. We're going to be putting 4 points into Violent Tapestry, which is going to give us an effect chance increase every rush deck we consume when we apply a status effect. We're going to be maxing out Transcend, and the point of going down this tree is to get down to our capstone, which is going to give us our action skill procced twice. This is going to proc Transcend twice, giving us a critical hit damage of plus 27% times 2, which is going to in turn equal 64% critical hit damage. This is an amazing skill to have, and especially when you can proc it twice. Next, we're going to be maxing out Alacrity. Alacrity comes in so clutch when you're using guns like the Cutsman or the Carrier and may need another clip to kill your enemy, or even if you're using the Layuta and you need to use another clip. This is literally an instant reload, especially paired with fast hands. You're going to really enjoy this perk. I can't wait for you guys to use it. All right, let's move on to Laid Bare. We are going to max out Laid Bare. This is going to give increased damage from all sources for a few seconds from by enemies after being damaged by Amara's action skill. Now, that's important. You're going to want to hit your enemy with your action skill to get this 25% increase. If you do not hit your target with your action skill, it is not going to proc this 25% damage. How you know this, you'll be able to see it at the bottom of your screen. Moving on to Wrath, you're going to max out Wrath. This is going to give you a flat out 20% extra gun damage. And then after using your action skill, you will be getting another 20% damage, which in turn gives you 40% damage. Now, I've had some questions, but Echo, we're using our action skill twice because we're going down the blue tree. Does that give us another 20%? No, it doesn't. It's a flat out 40%, 20% for each. So it's going to be a flat 40%, but that's still a huge increase after using your action skill. Now, moving on to From Rest. This is one of my favorite perks. I use this in a lot of videos because I love the Cutsman. This is really great. It's going to increase our fire rate and charge time, especially if you use the Cutsman, if you use the Ion Cannon, even if you use the Carrier. That fire rate, that 12% fire rate is great, and that 44% charge speed is fantastic for using the Ion Cannon and the Cutsman. Okay, moving on to Awakening. We're going to put 2 points into Awakening, and that's going to get us down to Avatar, which is our capstone. This is going to allow us to use our action skill twice. Now, since the level increased from 50 to 53, we have 3 points extra to use. This is so fun. So now I've been searching where should we put our points, and I came to the conclusion, let's go ahead and put our points into personal space, because 9 times out of 10 when we're fighting bosses, we're pretty up close and personal. And this is going to give us a damage boost of 36%. So moving on to our action skill augments, we're going to be equipping Tandema. We don't have to worry about that 35-second cooldown, so this does the most damage, so we're going to go ahead and use that. For our middle action skill augment, you can go ahead and put on Soul Sap. You really don't need anything, but I put on Soul Sap just for the extra heals. And depending on which boss you're fighting, you can go ahead and equip which element you'd like. For now, we're going to just keep it on shock. All right, so let's get into our gear now. Starting with our guns. We're using the sellout a lot to proc ourselves with some dot damage. So I would say that the sellout is a key gun in our build. The next thing is the eruption. The eruption, I wouldn't call it underrated, because the people that use it and know what it does use it a lot. So basically, in a short version of what this gun does, when this gun breaks, it's a COV weapon. So when this gun breaks, it sends out projectiles that home in on the enemy, and that's going to cause the enemy to debuff. And if you do it multiple times, you can get the the enemy to debuff for an extra 200% damage. So we're going to be going into using this and how to use it during this build. Next, we're going to use like ion cannons of every flavor, basically corrosion, fire, and shock. You can even use kinetic. So we're going to be getting into that. Another gun that we like to use for bossing is the carrier. The carrier is so good. I've been using the phase cast one for bossing. I found it does more damage than the bonus elemental anointment ones. That the phase cast one does more damage, so we've been using that one. Another gun that I've used is the Linoge. The Linoge is so good, and if you haven't used it, you should really try it. I used it on Tyrene, and this gun absolutely melted her. I'll show you a clip of that later. We use the Cutsmans. I've got every flavor Cutsman that we like to use depending on the boss that we're using. I've got some more carriers that I use, obviously, with the bonus elemental on action skill end, but I'm telling you, if you can find a phase cast one, it does more damage. And then the ion cannons, of course. The other gun that I use, I like to use the Leuta, mostly on Graveward, but you can use the Leuta for other bosses as well. Moving on to our gear. As for the shield, I like to just use the transformer with a bonus element on the bottom. You can use pretty much any shield you want. The amp shields are really not going to work because we're proccing ourselves with dot damage, and that's giving us damage to our shield, so the amp shields aren't going to work. If you wanted to get spicy and have a low capacity shield, you could use the Sidorak, because on break it gives you an extra like 22 to 25% more weapon damage on shield break. You can use that if you'd like. That's just going to give you a little bit more damage. But whatever shield that you decide to go with, make sure that it's got that on action skill and gain 50% bonus elemental damage for 10 seconds. Moving on to our nade, you're going to want to use the piss nade, and depending on what boss you're fighting is what bonus elemental you're going to use. But again, on whichever nade you use, you want to get an action skill and gain 50% bonus damage with weapons for 10 seconds, or bonus incendiary damage with weapons for 10 seconds. Moving on to our artifact. Now, you're going to want to use an elemental projector. Now, I've been fighting bosses with shields and flesh, so I found this little gem. It's a purple, but it's a level 53 elemental projector, giving us that 96% boost, but it also has shock and incendiary damage. Now, I do have elemental projectors that I use for other things. For instance, this one has pistol damage, so if I'm using an incendiary, so if I'm using the Linoge, I'm going to want to put this on. Also, this one is really good too for the mag size. When I'm using the carrier, I like to have mag size for to just give that carrier a little bit more mag so I can kill him in one clip. Same thing with the Leuta, you want more in the clip, so mag size is key for elemental projectors. Let's see, let's move on to our comm. I'm still using a level 50 plus 5 phase zerker. I haven't found a level 53 yet. I really like the plus 5 in anima, because If we are, I'll go back for it. I'll go back to it right now for you. This is going to give you a 200% status effect duration and a 40% status effect damage. So when you hit the target, if they're a big beefy boss and they don't explode in one shot, say you're using the ion cannon, that status effect duration is going to keep on them, and it's going to do more damage over time. However, if you're using like the carrier or something, or an ion cannon, you want to get heavy weapon damage or pistol damage, splash damage, SMG damage is if you're using a Cutsman. Let's see, I know I have an assault rifle one in here. This, of course, is the last one. Or assault rifle damage. It depending on what you're using is going to depend on which comm you want to use. But if you do use a different comm than a +5, you don't have a +5, you're going to want that specific like SMG damage or specific assault rifle damage, specific heavy weapon damage. You're going to want that big percentage for your comm. Okay, well, that's going to do it for our gear. So let's go ahead and see this build in action.
You missed me, a jerk. That was 6 mil, guys. I think we just destroyed him. And yeah, we did. Let's go. Guys, this build is insane. Holy crap.
So now I'm going to teach you guys the deadliest combo for this Amara boss build. Step 1, dot yourself with the sellout. Step 2, switch to your pre-broken eruption and use your action skill. Doing this will proc the eruption debuff projectiles twice, giving you the 200% damage increase. Step 3, switch to your main weapon and use your action skill again. Step 4, use your piss nade for another 20% debuff on your enemy. If you're using the ion cannon, you can charge and throw your nade at the same time. Step 5, shoot your weapon and watch your target explode. Okay, I'm not going to be talking for the remainder of this video. My voice is shot. I apologize. Okay, right now I'm going to run you back a clip of how you use this combo exactly, and then I'm just going to run some clips for you and see what I use. And I'll be using, for the rest of this video, I'll be using some side notes. So I apologize again for my hoarse voice, but it is just gone.
Pull my heart out of my chest, train my mind so I forget. Sink your teeth into my bones, dig me out, then fill the hole. Tear me apart, tear me apart, apart. Tear me apart, tear me apart, apart. All that's left is a window to my soul. Come and get it. to mouth, I breathe you in. Swallow down your jagged sin. Let it drown inside my veins. The sweetest poison I could take. You make it an art, the way that you scar with every word. But before we reach the end, strip me down again. Come and get it one more time. If you wanna lose your mind, come and get it one more time. If you wanna lose your mind, come and get it. Come and get it.
Please take a moment right now and hit that like button. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you want to catch these videos live, you can find me at twitch.tv/jadedecho_ or subscribe to my YouTube channel and be up to date with each video.